just keep showing up. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. Something amazing, unbelievable might happen. Yes, there's the possibility that things will continue to go bad, but they, again, can never get fixed, can never get turned around, or can never change if you don't keep showing up. Hello, my friend, and welcome to Something for Everybody. My name is Machbitz, and today is a solo episode of the podcast where I will be covering some life lessons that I learned from sports that I hope I can pass on to the players that I coach today. Sports have been an instrumental, monumental part of my life and still are a very integral part of my life. Everything that I've learned about being a man, about being a teammate, about being a friend, about being really a person, I learned through sport. My sport of choice was baseball, and I fell in love with baseball. I don't even know the age, but let's say 3 or 4 or 5 years old, I fell in love with baseball. And since I have the most supportive and loving parents, they allowed me to play that, and they put me on teams and got lessons, and we traveled the country going to as many baseball parks as we possibly could. I have 5 remaining, and I will hit those at some point in my life. But it was incredible. It was incredible. I fell in love with my second thing at age 13, which was professional wrestling. So all growing up through high school, through college, I loved baseball and I loved professional wrestling. And I learned, which I didn't realize at the time, that I was learning these incredibly valuable life lessons through sport. It didn't really sink in until I had to start teaching them to other people. I didn't really understand the gravity of the lessons that I learned in baseball until I had to start coaching them to these young people who are looking for role models and mentors. And I wanted to carry that very heavy responsibility with some serious, grip to be able to give them these lessons, or to answer their questions, or to guide them on the right path, to allow them to fall down and get back up and express or talk to them what they might have learned from that situation, how they can grow from it. And it's another beautiful thing about this podcast, is where very similar to coaching other people, is that you have to be able to say these things in a way that makes sense, in a very sophisticated, sort of powerful, but easy to understand manner, and being able to parse down some very complex ideas into sort of everyday language that a 10, 11, 12-year-old can understand is really cool. And you have to understand that information at a very, very, very tight level, but you also have had to done a lot of self-reflection on how it changed the texture of your life and your mind, and then be able to take what's in your mind and be able to express it. So that's why I've thoroughly enjoyed this podcast, because it allows me to explore my curiosity in many ways, whether it be a solo episode or a guest, and then have to figure out how to say it to you guys. And some episodes are better than others. And, this is episode 189 of the podcast. So I'm getting better at each episode, because I've taken an athlete mindset. I've taken an athlete approach to this podcast, because for baseball, it took me a very long time to get confident, to get skilled, to get good and competent at the sport of baseball. And I took the same approach with professional wrestling, and I really take the same approach with all things in life. I move forward in that direction, knowing I'm going to try to be as consistent as possible for as long as possible, so I can get as good as possible at the thing that I'm doing, whether it's public speaking, communicating, coaching, podcasting, all of these things that I'm involved in currently. And so all of the things that I've learned, the lessons that I've learned, are from sport, are from baseball specifically. And again, it didn't take me, it took me until I had to start teaching it and coaching it to other people to really fully understand the lessons that I learned, how they changed my whole life. Like, I was doing these things. I was showing up. I was being consistent. I was working hard. I was lining my words and my actions up. I was doing all of these things that now I'm going to express to you as the lessons I learned, but I couldn't articulate them well enough for someone to understand. I had to really sit, think, reflect, talk, get curious, think about my past, think about how I acted, think about baseball, think about my teammates, think about everything that went into learning these incredibly powerful life lessons. And so I'm giving you on this episode five. Five, I think, the most important lessons personally for me. There's tons of lessons. I could talk for hours about how unbelievably powerful sport is, especially for young boys, and that everyone should be involved with it in some capacity just to learn cooperation, teamwork, respect, hard work, hustle, effort. You get what you earn. All of these things are so important for the rest of your life and how you're going to show up in the rest of your life and who you could potentially become and how you can untap that best version of you in greatest service of the world through this idea of sport. Very few people make it to the professional high ranks, elite best in the world. If that's your goal, fucking awesome. Go for it, baby. Go for it. But there is lessons that still can be learned from just going out and playing sports. And again, here are the five that I learned that are most important to me right now, trying to teach the young players that I'm in contact with. Number one is to keep showing up. Keep showing up. Things will get really hard at times, but nothing will ever change or get fixed if you don't show up. That's the number one rule. How do you learn that through sport? Well, on Saturday, you get your freaking ass kicked. 12-0. Run rule. Done. 4-inning game. Looks like we got to play the same team tomorrow, or looks like we're on the schedule at 8 a.m. for tomorrow because we got our ass kicked on Saturday, or because we ran up a good team, or we played lackadaisical, or whatever the result was. It was that we got beat pretty bad. Okay, so how do you ingrain in yourself that you're a person that always shows up, or that keeps showing up? Well, I got beat yesterday. Am I going to show up the next day? Am I going to put on the same jersey and the same cleats and go to the same field and show up? That's what sport teaches you, because you can't change or fix anything if you don't show up. So the number one rule, that's the number one rule for anything you want to do in life, for anything you want to achieve, for anything you want to accomplish. Keep showing up. Yes, some days will be hard. Yes, some days you'll get your ass kicked. Yes, some days you'll get punched in the face and nothing will go right and everything will go wrong and you'll feel like this shit isn't fair. Nothing's going my way. Fuck this. But if you can calm yourself down, you can take a few deep breaths, you can introduce some mindfulness, and you can think about what you really want is this thing. So how can I still show up the next day, the next hour, the next minute, even though I'm getting my ass kicked, but you're staying in the game. You're staying in the game. Life is the game. Baseball, the game. Whatever the game is for you, you stay in it by showing up daily. You keep showing up. That is the number one lesson I'm trying to come to teach my young players, and to teach myself every single day, and to teach anyone, not really teach, I feel like that's the wrong word, but just express very intensely like how important it is. Just keep showing up. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. Something amazing, unbelievable might happen. Yes, there's the possibility that things will continue to go bad, but they, again, can never get fixed, can never get turned around, or can never change if you don't keep showing up. So that's lesson number one, let's say. Lesson number two, do what you say you're going to do. Line up your words and actions. Be about it. Be about it. Do what you say you're going to do. You say you're going to show up, show up. You say you're going to be a good teammate, be a good teammate. You say you're going to hustle out of the box or give attention, give your effort, give your focus. You say you're going to be a good teammate, you're going to be respectful, you're going to be zesty, you're going to be grateful. Do what you say you're going to do. Do what you say you're going to do. Line up your words with your actions. You can have a lot of talk. Talk doesn't matter. What you say does not matter. Yes, it carries weight, and words matter, and all those things are important in a different context. We're speaking in this context right now. It's always about action. That's what sport teaches you, that it's about action. It's about what you do. It's about what you do. Yes, you say you're going to do something, go out and do it. Be about it. And if you line up your words and actions, that means you're crystal clear on your core values, on your personal philosophy, and on your first principles. That's also what I'm trying to teach and coach my young athletes on. What are your core values? What are your first principles? Who do you want to be? And how do you want people to remember you by? What's your identity? Which really means what's your repeated beingness, and how can you be about it even in those intense, hard situations where the game is on the line, or a coach is yelling at you, or you got a bad grade and you didn't put in the best effort you could, or your parents are asking you to do something you don't want to do. Whatever it is, how can you be about it? How can you do what you say you were going to do? Ultimately, this is about telling the truth. This is about telling the truth and being honest with yourself and the people around you, because you are about it. Be about it. Do what you say you're going to do. That's number 2. Number 3, hard work is a prerequisite to getting anywhere, but rest and recovery are part of that work. Like hard work, like you say you're going to work hard. That's like, yeah, of course you have to. There's no other option. There's no other option than to work hard. That's the prerequisite. That's the basic entry to get in the door, is to work hard. Every person you've ever seen reach any sort of success worked hard, but they also worked deliberately, persistently, and consistently on the thing they wanted to do. There was no outside distractions. There was no things grabbing their attention. They were focused on the thing and the task at hand. Most important task, finished it. There was no task switching. There wasn't attentional residue. There was driving down the goal or the field with this hard work, dedication, persistent attitude. So hard work is a prerequisite. But what we're learning now, and what I want to teach my young athletes, is that part of that hard work is to be able to rest and recover just as hard. If you want to get to the edge of your capacity every single day, if you want to get right to the edge every single day on the work, on how you're training your mind, your body, your soul, your craft, all of those things, if you want to get to the edge of that every single day to keep reaching new heights, new potentials, and to keep untapping the best version of yourself, then you have to rest and recover just as hard. That means you have to prioritize your sleep. You have to prioritize your sleep and your rest and your eating and your yoga and your mobility and your stretching and your relationships. Yes, your relationships are part of your recovery, because the best relationships give you energy. They make you feel revitalized. They make you feel alive. They make you feel supported, especially when you're going after something that's hard. You need to have those people in your life who tell you, yeah, you're in the trenches right now, but you got to keep showing up because you made a commitment. Number 2, you told me you were going to do this. Do what you say you're going to do. And those people in your life where you have those amazing relationships will hold you accountable, will pick you up when you're down, right? Will tell you things that you need to hear. That's why you do what you say you're going to do. That's why rest and recovery are part of the work. Rest and recovery, sleep, hydration, eating well, naps, mobility, stretch routines, relationships. You have to work hard on those things as well, because those give you energy. Those revitalize you. Those things allow you to get to the edge of your capacity on a day-to-day basis. If you ignore those things, you will burn out, you will get tired, and you will not be at full capacity, and your body, mind, and soul and your relationships will shut down on you. So yes, hard work is extremely important. It's really the only way. But part of that hard work is rest and recovery, just as hard, so that each and every day you can get to the edge of your capacity and find out who you really are and continue to be about it on a day-to-day basis while lining up your words and actions and moving through those first principles. Number 4, consistency is everything. Consistency on the fundamentals forever. Kobe Bryant said, be brilliant at the basics. That's it. Consistency is everything. I can tell you this much. Consistency does not guarantee success, but being inconsistent will guarantee that you won't be successful, right? So there's no guarantee that you will get to the spot you want to get to. There's no guarantee that you will be successful, but I can guarantee that if you're inconsistent, you won't get to the place you want to be. That's very important to understand. And then it's consistency on the fundamentals forever. Be okay with the boring The boring is the basics. The boring is the fundamentals, but you get brilliant at those. As a human being, what are our fundamentals? What are our fundamentals? Eating well, moving well, sleeping well, and thinking well. Be brilliant at the basics so you're building the strongest foundation you possibly can, and you build up from there every single day. Consistency is everything. Consistency is everything. It is everything. Consistent, deliberate, persistent action on the things you want most. Be brilliant at the basics and have consistency on the fundamentals forever. Based on the sport you play, you know the fundamentals. But if you're just a person living in the world as a human being, your fundamentals are eating well, moving well, sleeping well, and thinking well. Be brilliant at those. And there's nothing that can take you down. And if it does take you down, you're so brilliant at the fundamentals and you're so consistent that you will always get back up, because you've also learned lesson number 1, which is to keep showing up. All of these things fall in line. All of these things are intertwined. All of these things matter. And these are the most important lessons that I've learned through sport that I hope to teach and coach my players on currently, but also through this podcast to whoever's listening and watching. So, number 5, be a good teammate or be a good person. Kindness and respect are probably the only life hacks that exist. Let me say that one more time, because this is a golden nugget. Kindness and respect are probably the only life hacks that exist. I am not a fan of hacks because they do not exist, especially when it comes to our mental skills or our mental health. It's a lifelong journey process every single day of being proactive with our mental health, on eating well, moving well, sleeping well, and thinking well, being brilliant at the basics every day on a consistent basis, and always showing up and being as consistent as humanly possible. But if there were hacks, if hacks did exist, then kindness and respect are probably the 2 hacks that exist on this world. So be a good teammate, be a good person. That's where I learned how to be cooperative, how to negotiate, how to care for another person, what love meant. I learned love first as a teammate on a baseball team, because you really spend a lot of time with these guys and you end up really loving them. My best friends who will be at my wedding standing up there with me are guys that I played baseball with or I wrestled with, because you get in the trenches with these men. You get in the trenches with them, and they're the ones right next to you, side by side, linking arms, and we're digging ourselves out of these holes. Whether it's on the field or off the field, we are digging ourselves out of these holes together. And they have been there for me for my best and darkest and hardest moments of my life. And I can't think of another group of guys that I want around me. And they elevate me, and hopefully I elevate them, and we're growing and blossoming together. That's what being a good teammate is, being a good person. It's really what being a good teammate means in a real life situation outside of sport, is building relationships. Again, it's building relationships. Nobody does anything great alone. We need relationships. They are the cornerstone. They're the cornerstone of living the good life. And through kindness and respect, we can build those relationships. We can build those lifelong, powerful, dynamic, just unbelievably strong bonds with people that are going to make life that much better. My boys, my fiance, my parents, those are the relationships that I nurture the most. And my life is absolutely incredible because of those people. It started with my parents. They taught me love. They taught me what it felt like to be loved. They taught me what it felt like to be supported and cared for. And then baseball also taught me what I could share with other people, how to give love and respect, and how to cooperate with someone, and how to figure out how to get to some place, even though we might not totally agree, but we're still going to be able to play together and work together on this shared mission, on this shared vision. And then romantic relationships, being with my fiance, has taught me all of this great stuff about effort, about love, about commitment, about a lifelong pursuit with another person. And I learned all of these things by being in sport and being in the trenches with people and understanding that relationships are the cornerstone of a good life, and consistency means everything. And as long as you keep showing up, you have a chance. And if you have a chance, that means you're still in the fucking game. And that's awesome. And so those are the 5 lessons that I've learned. Quick recap, 5 lessons. Keep showing up. Do what you say you're going to do. Hard work is a prerequisite to getting anywhere, but rest and recovery are part of that work. Consistency is everything. Be brilliant at the basics and be a good teammate. Kindness and respect are probably the only life hacks that exist. So those are 5 lessons. I could share many more lessons, but those are the ones that really resonated with me as lessons that I'm hoping to pass on to the players that I teach and pass on to you guys who are listening and watching to this podcast. So I appreciate that. And if you enjoyed it, might as well go to aaronmashbitz.com and sign up for my free weekly newsletter. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I have a Shop for Everybody t-shirt on, and you can go to shopforeverybody.com to check out that merch. There's also official podcast merch there, but that's it for that. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into that episode. And if you enjoyed it, click here for another full-length episode of the podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe. But above all else, most importantly, please take good care of yourselves and others. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers.